Good afternoon. This is Ron Brown. It's Friday afternoon, the 13th of December. There's about 20 minutes left in the market day, and I'm going to show you something that I've put together today to concentrate on some fundamentals. And I'll be adding to this. I'm trying to regroup or classify things so they're a little bit more specific when we're looking at scans. So anyway, let me get started. This is called Simplifying Prospecting an HGS Investor, and once again, it's a continuation of the categorization. December 13th, and as always, any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. Now this is these are the scans I'm talking about. I've started a new category, strong fundamentals, and I'll be modifying or adding to this category, and I'll come back to this. But before we do that, let's take a little detour. We're kind of in a mixed market today, and what I want to do is I want to go in and go to the industries. And I'm going to, let's make sure we have the latest data. I'm going to update the intraday data. I'm doing it manually rather than having it update automatically. That's just because it slows down the recording process. Okay, it's almost finished. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rebuild the industries. And to do that, I open up the industries, click on that, go to my tools menu, rebuild indexes and group. And it's rebuilding all of the, all of the industry groups. Then I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go down here into my files, into the second folder, the market analysis user groups, and I'm going to click on the market indexes updated weekly. These are equal dollar weighted. I'm going to go into tools, and I'm going to rebuild these indexes as of 2:40 on Friday, and we're just going to take a look at the market. The indexes have kind of been all over the place today, with the exception of the comp, which is, it's not up very much today, but it's been strongest. Anyway, I'm going to remove the filter. To remove the filter, you hold your shift key and you click on this filter icon up here, and that removes the filter. And now I'm going to click on the S&P 1500, and I'm going to make this chart large. Get this out of the way. And now I'm going to use the drop-down menu and go to my HGSI index charts. I'm not going to go through all of them. Let's see. This is the one I want to start with and make sure I have the S&P 1500. And the reason I want to bring this up is, even though the market seems like it's been pretty strong recently, I want to show you the deterioration in the S&P 1500. Now, these are the current numbers as of right now, because I just rebuilt this. So the percent of the index above the 20 is 32.9, above the 30, 39.28, above the 50, 54, 53, and then 65, 65, corresponding to these lines right up here. Now I'm going to clear the screen of those, close this, and then I'm going to hit my alternate I key, and that brings up an information window. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to put a crosshair on here with the alternate C, and then I can go back to this area up here and show you what these numbers look like when the market is strong. I want to go in here and put a timer on these. And right here you see the crosshair, not quite at the peak, but on that day the percent of the index above the 50 was almost 80%, and look at it now. I mean above the 20. The red line is the 50-day moving average. The blue line is the 20-day moving average. And the percent above the 20-day moving average on November 26th, which isn't that far ago, was 80% compared to 32.09%. Above the 30-day, 61.74 on that day compared to 39.28. Now above the 50, 63.98, now 54.53, and above the 200 on that day, it was, let's see, let me do that again, 72.37, and it's down to 65. So what I'm pointing out here is I'm just showing you how much this market has deteriorated. Now this is the S&P 1500. What I like to do is I like to just flip through these. I'll start with the Dow, and these are the current numbers on the Dow. The NASDAQ 100. You can see that above the 20, 46.53. Back here, if I bring the information window up again, it was 72.38. So it's deteriorated quite a bit too. This is the NASDAQ 100. I'm going to drop down to the, let's look at the stocks. There aren't many stocks in here, 31 I think, or 30. And you can see that it's holding up pretty well. It's still above its moving average line. And what's the current number? 63.3. If we go back here and compare it to this, on that day it was 93.3. So it's come down, but you can see that it's holding. Most of these are still, or they're all still above the 50 period moving average red line. So that's where a lot of the strength has been in this market. But as I go down through here, look at the S&P 100, the S&P 400, you can see deterioration in all of these broader indexes, and the 600. Now, of course, this doesn't mean everything's going down. We know that, but it's just a good, this is a good image here to see deterioration within the indexes. And you can use these indexes up here in the yellow folders, but I keep these indexes updated every week at bar chart. These indexes are much more current than these. These get updated about once a month. These get updated every week. So just if you like to do this, use my indexes under the market analysis user groups. Now let's take this in a different direction. I'm just going to drop this window back in here, and I'm going to go up to my most used charts, just my basic chart, and I'm going to go here to the designer and click through to the warehouse, and now I'm going to use my quick pick and go down here into my essential views, top-down scorecard views for the HGSI indexes. And this is what is happening as of 10 minutes ago. Because remember, I just rebuilt these. So this is the weakness. What do we have here from Friday to Friday? Semiconductor, you saw that in the other chart I showed, has been the strongest group. Beginning of the week, same thing. Other than that, though, these equal dollar weighted indexes are down for the week. So, of course, that corresponds with what I just showed you in that chart. But on the other hand, how do we know what is strong and what is weak. Well, we can do you can do a lot of things. You can run scans within these indexes, but just for a quick read today, I'm going to change to the index group here, and then on my quick pick within the top-down scorecard views for the indexes, I'm just going to go down here and I'm going to look at number 6, percentage price change up intraday, and it shows me which of these stocks in the semiconductor index are up for the day. So even though it's not much of a day, you can see once again that the SOX stocks are holding up the best. I'll sort on raw combo. Broadcom came out with earnings last night, and it is the big mover today. But there are several other stocks. There's 18 that are moving up. If I drop down to the next one, those that are moving down are just one click below. These are down and these are up. Now I have end of day scans here too, but since this is the market day still going on, I just drop down to these. Now let's go down to another index. Out of that list, I'm going to go into the NASDAQ 100. And there's 27 stocks that are up and 74 stocks that are down. So it's just a way to go top down from any index and get a quick read on where the strength is and where the weakness is. Now remember, I rebuilt the industry groups, so even though these are down, I'm sorted now on the industry group. Let's go back up to stocks that are up, and you can see semiconductor devices, semiconductor manufacturing. These groups are up for the day. Here's some stocks that are up that are in groups that are down slightly for the day. Okay, now I'm going to take you to the new scan. Or it's not a new scan, it's a scan I moved up into the new group. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to go up here to my category trades, strong fundamentals, and I'll show you how this is built. Now this is end of day as of last night, and since it's a pretty weak market, the past few days, these are not showing a lot of strength here, but I want to show you a few things anyway. First of all, let's take a look at the filter construction. Bring the arrow up. Last close, $5, trading at least 500,000 shares. Net profit margins greater than or equal to 10%, and the ROE, or return on equity, is also greater than that. And then positive EPS and revenue change compared to the same quarter 1 year earlier has to be up at least 25% from the 52-week low. And another thing I've done here is I've combined this filter with a smart group. It's under Woodward and Brown, and it's high profit margin stocks. Now this has been in here for 15 years, 15 or 20 years at least. And part of, let's take a look here. If you go into Woodward and Brown, high profit margin stocks, you can see the same number of stocks are here that are passing the filter because I've applied this view to it. If I take the filter off, you can see that there are a lot of stocks in here, 232. But with the additional requirements that I put in with the filter, we're not only looking at high profit margin stocks, we're looking at stocks showing those other characteristics. Now, I'm going to right mouse click on this green area and select group properties, and it tells you what the high profit margin SMART group consists of gross profit margin, total revenue minus the cost of goods sold divided by the total revenue, and the net profit margin. And it builds this every day. So that's the group. And then when I add the other requirements for this filter on there, it gives us a smaller number of stocks. Now let's take a look at the intraday quotes. And you can see only a few of these stocks are up. Now, when you have a defined group like this with a filter, this is a little trick you can do to see how these have performed. It doesn't really work on a long list of stocks with technicals only, but this is a fundamental view, and I'm going to show you what I can do here by clicking on the designer. And then click on the dollar key. There's 42 securities. I want to see how these securities have done as a group. So this is the 13th of December, so I'm going back 1 month in November to the opening price right here, and then the closing price as of yesterday. And then I'm going to make an HTML and let's just save that. So it's limited this group to this list of stocks, and it shows me that out of this fundamental group, almost 60% winners and 40% losers, 25 and 17. Same numbers up here as you can see. And then this is how these individual stocks have performed over the month. So these are fundamentally strong stocks. Now let's go back and have to get out of here and do this. Let's go back to October 13th or October 14th on a Monday. See how these fundamentally strong stocks have done for the past 2 months. I'll just overwrite the other one. And for the past 2 months, if you look at this, darn it, I'm hitting the wrong things. You can see there are 81% gainers and only 19% losers. And the number of red stocks is much smaller. Now there's the closing bell. Now you can see the percentage numbers right here, which ones performed the best over a 2-month period. And here's the industry groups that they're in. Anyway, that's just a quick way to take a group of stocks that are defined by a filter, and it works pretty well with the fundamental filters, and see how they performed over the year, or over any time frame. You could do it over a year, but I just happen to do it over the past 2 months. But you know that the fundamentals are decent on these stocks, and then you can look for other characteristics which you may want to apply to potentially get into some of these stocks. For example, you can see the number of days since the crossover. Which ones have been strongest the longest? The relative strength is always important. Of course, here's the short term. You can also see the industry groups. And the easy way to do that, of course, is just to click up here on the spectrum analyzer and make sure that you have industry selected, and you get a breakdown of the groups here. There's 4 institutional brokerage, for internet-based service, for infrastructure software, all with decent fundamentals. So that's what I have in the fundamental so far. But I want to show you something else now that I just am experimenting with for fun. Move up here, and I've dropped a couple more charts in here. I call this the Wyckoff Demand Heikin Ashi. And if you don't know what a Heikin Ashi chart is, I think most of you do. It helps keep us in a trend compared to the choppiness that we'll find with regular candlesticks. You can see how smooth this is. If you're not sure what I want to help under charting, what they are, just go in here and type in HEI, and Heikin Ashi will come up. And right here, and it tells you how they're constructed and the purpose of them. I'm not going to get into that because I think most of you know how. But what I've done on this chart is I put a Heikin Ashi chart in the top part and then candlestick chart in the bottom, and then I've also added my Wyckoff scans that I've been working on to show you where there's strong accumulation or just where there's any kind of accumulation on a chart. This is something new that I'm just experimenting with, but I thought maybe it would give us more insight rather than just using VPA and Heikin Ashi. We can also have those Wyckoff indicators applied to a chart. I did it for number 7 and number 8, which is for stocks that are in a downtrend or where they're pulling back. So just play with it, see what you think. Just a nice view to maybe consider using in addition to the other charts. I'll get there yet. I have to drop this into my Samsung box. So when you do the download tomorrow, the add-on will be updated, and it's going to have these charts and also the fundamental. And I'll be adding to this fundamental folder. This is just one that I put in yesterday to see how it works, and I think there will be some opportunities there if you're more interested in combining both fundamentals and technicals. Thank you for listening. Have a good weekend, and I'll be back with another video next week.